And welcome to Mr. Rocks. Nintendo 64 top 20 N64 games that Mr. Rock had. Before we start, I just need to go grab something. Gotta grab the tablet. Sorry about that, guys. I wasn't completely ready yet. So, big shout out to Minky Minx. Still her birthday week. Rob himself, Miss Kiwi Gaming, Rufus the Red, Sinistar, King the Randoms, and the rest. If you haven't subscribed to those channels, please do so. I'm just setting up. Hello, Monty Monet. Hope all is well. Okay, and there we go. Now we're set up. So yeah. So my N64 games. I used to actually own about maybe 30. I put 20 of them on the list. So honorable mentions that are not on the list that I used to own was Resident Evil 2. I played it, beat it in about a week, traded it away. That was the end of that game. Other honorable mention was Glover. I used to own Glover, but it's not on the list. Um, it was a weird game. That's why I didn't put it on the list, because it was too freaking weird for me. I didn't really like the idea of you being a freaking glove. It was a good platformer, but it was just weird. But yeah, those are the honorable mentions in a way. I can't really remember the rest of the games. I think I owned about 30 of them. But with that being said, now we're on to the list. So with number 20 being Rampage World Tour. I got Rampage World Tour off my friend Sean Cummings back in the 90s. So yeah, so these are 1998 all the way until 2002 when my dad literally traded. Or was it 2002? It might have been 01 or 02. But yeah. Yeah, Rampage World Tour. I had it for about maybe a week or two. My friend gave it to me, then he asked for it back because he could actually trade for a video game that I don't like. But yeah, I'll just give you a heads up. It's the P word. If people know me, you know what the P word is. He was a big freaking fan of the P word. So yeah, he asked for it back so he could trade it for, yeah, the Poke game. But yeah. So number 20 is Rampage World Tour, and the reason why it's so low is because I only got to play it for about a week or two before that. Number 19 is Wave Race 64. I know Wave Race 64 should be a little higher, but it's not. And the reason why, because technically, I didn't play it that much. I had it for a tiny bit, but I didn't play it that much. And that's the reason why. I was more into playing Mario Kart and all those other games. Hello, Dorkina, as I should call you, Dorkina. Hope all is well. Hope your birthday went well. So yeah. Oh, should learn it. There we go. But yeah, Wave Race 64 is number 19. Number 18, South Park. South Park, the FPS game, I actually did have it. My friend Richard gave it to me because he got tired of the game. He actually didn't like the game at all. So I actually got the game for free. He literally said, "Here, just take the stupid game." I was sort of a big fan of South Park at the time, so at the end of the day, I was literally shocked. Then I got to play it, and I went, something's off about this game. I also own South Park Rally. I forgot to put that on as honorable mention. But South Park Rally was even worse than the FPS game. But yeah. But South Park, the FPS game, was actually quite fun in a way. I just remember the turkeys. I remember killing the turkeys, and that's pretty much it. So yeah. Number 18, South Park. Number 17 is Paperboy. So why Paperboy is on this list is because technically, Paperboy 64, I think it was called. The reason why Paperboy is on this list is because I grew up with Paperboy. I had it for the Super Nintendo and all that stuff, I just loved literally like breaking the windows in the game. As many windows as you could break was freaking fun for me. And you also had stuff chasing you and all that stuff. So yeah. So yeah. Number 16 is WCW NWO World Tour. Uh, that game is nostalgia for me. It was my first WCW game that I ever owned. Um, because I didn't own the one that was on Super Nintendo. Um, which is really weird because I did have one of the biggest Super Nintendo collections in Canada. I'm not joking. I had almost 1,000 games, but I didn't own that Super Brawl one at the time. So yeah, WCW World NWO World Tour is number 16. Number 15 is WrestleMania 2000. I got this one from Richard again. I still remember when I got it too. He got WWF No Mercy. Gives me WWF WrestleMania 2000. I wanted No Mercy actually, but he literally said, "No, I'm not giving you no Mercy. I'm giving you WWF WrestleMania 2000." And I literally got that game. I freaking put it in. It was good. Don't get me wrong. It was good, but you know, like I didn't own No Mercy. No Mercy's not on the list. And I remember playing No Mercy, and I kind of felt bummed out about it. You know, because it's like, well, he had the better one. I got kind of this one at the time, but looking back, you know, they're both equally good games. But yeah, so number 14, Super Smash Brothers. Woo! I still love Super Smash Brothers to this day. I have Super Smash Brothers Ultimate for Nintendo Switch, but the original Super Smash Brothers, when I seen that goddamn commercial, I literally got blown away. You know, when you got to see like Donkey Kong taking a steel chair to Mario, it made me laugh so hard. You know, it was like, holy crap, this is WWF wrestling in Nintendo games. Of course, I wanted the damn game right away, and I remember getting that game and going, oh my goodness. And I remember finding the game too. It was at a local pawn shop for really cheap. It was like maybe $20 at the time. And so I asked my mom, and she literally got it for me. And I remember bringing it home, and my freaking friend Sean kept on bugging me for the freaking game. He kept on saying, "Well, I want the game. I want the game." Eventually, I did give it to him. I give him the freaking game. I regret giving him the game, but that's the reason why it's so low on the list is because I eventually did give away the game, and that's the reason why it's so low. Number 13 is Spider-Man. Anyone that knows me knows that I love the Spider-Man video games. Spider-Man for N64 was quite weird in a way, but it was actually quite fun. Um, you know, of course, it's not as good as the PlayStation one. You know, everyone literally says, "Wow, the PlayStation one's better." Of course, because you had the crappy controls and all that stuff. But it was still an okay game for its time. You know, and what happened to that game? I got that at a pawn shop as well. I think I got that one for $5 because it wasn't selling anywhere. So I remember going to Elvis's pawn shop, aka James. Big shout out to James from Elvis's pawn shop. Love you, buddy. Still in business since 1986. But yeah, I got it from him for about $5, and I remember taking it home, playing that game, and it was awesome. Number 12 is Perfect Dark. I got Perfect Dark from Pawn Shop, but this one wasn't James. I got this one from Economy, and he is a jerk. Economy Pawn Shop back in the day. So I think he charged me like freaking almost sticker price for a used video game, and it was literally like, okay, I heard it was better than GoldenEye. And that's why I bugged my parents to get me the game, in a way. And they did, and I took it home. It was not as good as GoldenEye. I hate to tell you that. People that literally go, well, Perfect Dark is better than GoldenEye. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't at all. It was good, but it wasn't as good as GoldenEye. But yeah. So number 12 is Perfect Dark. And number 11 is Donkey Kong 64. I grew up with Donkey Kong. I love Donkey Kong. You know, Donkey Kong is still considered to be one of my favorite games. You know, but that's coming up. You know, in the future. But yeah, but Donkey Kong 64. I love the freaking Jungle Rap song. I remember the Oh Banana and everything like that. But after beating it the one time, I beat it once. After beating it the whole entire time, I remember the game was so freaking glitchy and buggy that I remember just going, huh? Why did I really like this game that much? But then, yeah, it's still a nostalgia trip to go back on. Uh, Number 10 is Mortal Kombat 4. Anyone that knows me, I love Mortal Kombat. Still to this day, September 13th, 1993 is still Mortal Kombat Monday. I don't give a flying F if you're not a freaking Mortal Kombat fan or not. Me, on the other hand, September 13th, 1993, when Mortal Kombat came out, it was the peak of evolution. Because before that was only the arcade edition. I think that came out in '92. So when that game came out and everything else, I always tried to keep up with the current editions on almost every system. And Mortal Kombat 4 was the game that kind of went, is this a good game? But at the end of the day, I always have to place a Mortal Kombat game on my list. It doesn't matter where it goes. It just has to fall. So Mortal Kombat 4, for sure, number 10. Uh, Number 9, NHL 99. People will say, wait, you got a sports game on your list? Yeah, I do love like hockey games. I love football games here and there. But NHL 99 literally touched home. It was literally like one of the first games that I remember that literally had like a whole entire season mode that you could play at. And, you know, before that you had exhibition and then you had like this weird season mode. You know, like you'll just play like an exhibition game, but you won't actually play for like the Stanley Cup and all that. But this was the first one that I remember that you could actually play for the Stanley Cup, and it was kind of cool, you know. And yeah, well, remember, and also owning. Uh, Number 8 is a big one. A lot of people would literally put this as your number one. It's not my number one though, and that is Super Mario 64. I did love Super Mario 64, but it wasn't really nostalgia for me though. Like some people would say, well, technically, it's a great game. And I agree, it is a good game. But there is a lot of things that were missing. Like some people literally said, well, Luigi was in the game. Turns out Luigi wasn't in the game. Some people say Yoshi was in the game. Turns out Yoshi wasn't in the goddamn game. Not until the DS version, anyways, where they added those characters in. But the original N64 version, there was rumors and talks about the game for years and years and years. And when I first played it back in, I think, '97, because my friend had it, and everything else, I was kind of bummed out about it. Because I was literally told that technically, as a kid, Yoshi, Luigi, uh, and Peach, and I was told that Peach was a playable character as well. After you beat the game, you get to play as Peach. That was a lie. So that's the reason why I kind of literally put it so low on the list, and that's the reason why it's not my all-time favorite. Because as a kid, you were told stuff. You didn't have internet. Either you had a magazine or it was word to mouth. That was it. Go back in the '90s and '80s. That was it. It was word to mouth or a magazine which only had like 2 pictures of of the game. That was it. That was your whole entire freaking game that you got to see. So yeah. Number 7 is Mario Party 2. I had to put a Mario Party game in here because I do love Mario Party in a way. But I couldn't decide which one I loved more, so I actually went back on and played it on my computer not too long ago to find out which one I actually liked more. It was Mario Party 2 for sure. I just love the boards, like that haunted boo freaking thing, that spooky freaking maze freaking thing. It's gotta be one of my favorites of all time. I just love the way how it was designed. I actually have Super Mario uh, Party All Superstars or whatever, Mario Party Superstars it's called, on the Switch, which has that map. And technically, it's a nostalgia trip. Mario Party is always a nostalgia trip. Sit there, you play with your buddies, and it was just a fun time. So yeah, Mario Party. Woo! Now this game. Whew. Now before I literally tell you what number 6 is, I gotta literally go. I have to tell a story about this because technically number 6 and number 2 kind of fall into the same story. So when I first got an N64 was back in I think November 1998. I got 2 video games. One is number 6, which WWF Warzone. I remember still watching WWF television at the time, and the commercial came on. Stone Cold Steve Austin, literally talking, you gotta get into the war zone, or else I'm gonna stunner your ass or whatever. And I remember seeing that commercial. I remember bugging my mom and my dad for days to get me Warzone. And when I got it, I'm not joking. I thought it was the greatest game of all time. I remember literally playing that because you gotta remember back in the early days, like you had WWF the arcade game, but I never considered that a wrestling game. It was arcade. It was arcade style. It even said the word arcade on it. And then I remember literally playing like WWF Royal Rumble and WWF Raw, you know, for Super Nintendo and stuff like that and the Genesis. But those games, they weren't as good as like WWF Warzone was. And the one thing I loved about Warzone to this day was the freaking commentary and the stuff and the guy and the wrestlers that would talk. Well, that's blah, blah, as you hit them, and they go, it made me laugh. It's like freaking hard, because technically it was just freaking hilarious. And the one thing I loved about Warzone more than a lot of video games at the time for wrestling was their freaking challenge mode. I remember playing that challenge mode and literally getting that WWF title, and they had like 15, I think it was 15 different wrestlers you had to fight in a way. And each one had a different match or stipulation. One could be a steel cage match. One could be a hardcore match. The other one could be like a singles match. And you always had like some guy interfere in the match. It didn't matter where it was coming from. I just felt like a funny freaking game, It felt freaking funny. So yeah, WWF Warzone is definitely number 6. Number 5 is Mario Kart 64. When I first got Mario Kart 64 back in, I think, February 99, I think it was, I remember playing that game for quite a bit. I got it at a local pawn shop. It was not that expensive at all. I think it was like under like $10. But I remember getting that game and literally freaking pumping it in with my friend Sean and a few other friends, They would all bring their controllers over. We all freaking play it. And also, it was also the game I took on the road. So it was the game I actually played with Motley Crue. So me, Tommy Lee, Vince Neil, and Mick Mars were all freaking playing Mario Kart 64. And I still remember this to this day because they were on tour with us and all that stuff. So we used to be backstage and play video games constantly. Tommy Lee usually kicked my ass. I still want a rematch one of these days, Tommy Lee, on Mario Kart. But yeah, so yeah. Number 4, woo, is my favorite wrestling game on the N64. There's a lot of controversy over this game, but woo, is it up there? WCW NWO Revenge. Holy crap, was that a good game. Just from the intro itself, when you got Sting coming out, standing there, about to get hit by a semi-truck, and then the freaking thing comes out, WCW NWO Revenge, I was blown away. I traded my video game. I traded Resident Evil 2, because my friend Alex won that freaking Resident Evil 2. I remember playing Resident Evil 2 for a week. I traded him the game in a heartbeat. I kept that game. He wanted to trade back so damn bad. I said no. I kept that freaking game and everything else. I wish I still had the game, but I kept that game for a long time. and it was one of my favorite wrestling games to this day. You know, and being a big WCW NWO fan, holy crap. I got to relive some of the matches that I freaking loved, like Sting versus Hollywood Hulk Hogan, Goldberg versus like Bret Hart, stuff like that, And it was just like, wow. Uh, Number 3 is Diddy Kong Racing. Diddy Kong Racing, greatest racing game on the N64, hands down. F you, Mario Kart 64 fans. Diddy Kong Racing had it all. Because technically, you could literally fly, you could hovercraft, or you could drive. And in Mario Kart 64, you couldn't do any of that shit. You couldn't fly, you know. And it was such a hard but fun game that it kept on keeping me coming back for more and more and more, you know. And I remember playing that game and just having a blast, you know. I beat it once. I beat the Diddy Kong Racing once. And I remember literally freaking going up to my parents and saying, I beat the game, I beat the game. And they literally said, what game? And I literally said, Diddy Kong Racing. They said, no. Because even my freaking mom literally had trouble trying to beat the game. Because my mom does play video games from time to time. She's not really that good at it, but she does play like literally racing and driving games. She's actually good at that stuff. But yeah, and Mortal Kombat she's good at as well. But yeah, Diddy Kong Racing, number 3. Number 2. Okay, remember what I said earlier? I said when I first got the N64, I got 2 games. I got WWF Warzone, and I got Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. I remember when I first got the game, I was blown away. I was like, whoa. Because I got the gold box. I remember what I got. I got the gold box and everything else. I remember opening up, and I was like, whoa. You know, it was like something you never seen before. Had a nice casing and everything else. Open it up. I still love Ocarina of Time to this day. Still love that game. I play it on my Switch from time to time. And I still haven't found a Zelda game that was actually any better than Ocarina of Time. People would say, wow, Breath of the Wild. I tried Breath of the Wild. I still don't understand it. I wish someone would teach me Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom so that maybe I will enjoy the game. I bought the games and I've literally played them for about maybe an hour or two. Try to understand the game, and I can't figure it out. To this day, I literally play it, I go, huh? But Ocarina of Time is the one Zelda game I could go back, play, understand that game perfectly, have the little puzzles and everything else. One of my favorite levels in the Ocarina of Time was the fire level. I remember the fire level very well, and it was just literally a fantastic game to play. Number 1, I've said it before. A lot of people know what my number 1 N64 game is. It's gotta be GoldenEye and 007. When that game came out, I remember seeing the commercials. It was the one game I bugged my parents to buy me as well. They couldn't afford it at the time. They couldn't afford it and everything else. So I didn't get GoldenEye until about a month later after I got my N64. I think it was a month later. Because I remember still bugging my parents to get me that, even though I got Ocarina of Time, I got Warzone. I think it was the 3rd game I got. And I remember literally getting that game, and that was the game I literally played the most. I would take that game pretty much to my goddamn grave if I could, and just freaking go like this. Okay, just hook up a controller. I'll freaking try to figure out the controls, even though my bony ass fingers can't freaking play. But yeah, GoldenEye was my top game, hands down. I played so much of it. I beat the game literally maybe about 3-4 times, because it's not that hard to freaking beat. I usually put it on like agent to special agent or whatever, like whatever. So I have beat the game on agent, like easy mode, and then I have beat the game on regular. I don't know if I ever beat the game on the hardest mode. That's one thing I don't think I've ever done. But I know I beat the game on agent for sure. But yeah. And with that being said, that is my list of top 20 N64 games. You know, I want to thank everyone for coming out. I want to thank Dorkina for coming out. I want to thank Money Monet for coming out. And everyone else that literally is here. And please like and subscribe to the channel. I know this week's videos that are coming out is going to be Jurassic World Evolution 2. I haven't played a Jurassic Park game since literally the 90s. So it's gonna be this is gonna be a whole entire different ball game for me. Because yeah. And also the video for next week is top 25 SNES games. I already had the list already right here in front of me, so this is going to be pretty easy for me to do. But yeah, with that being said, I want to thank everyone. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later, everyone.